All right, today we're gonna make an animated 15-second commercial in Procreate Dreams.
Nickelodeon!
I was inspired by those old Nickelodeon or like Cartoon Network animated idents, which is short for identification, because the old broadcast networks back in the day would want to sort of call out or identify what channel you were watching. Like, I'm Jason and you're watching Disney Channel. It can be really cool, but instead of doing all the work ourselves, we're going to outsource the design and illustration using a service called Penji, a simple way to collaborate with a dedicated designer without sacrificing quality. They're the sponsor of today's video, and a super friendly team with professional and reliable talent. We'll get unlimited revisions, all included in an affordable monthly fee. And if you want to try it yourself, the link is in the description. You can even use my code JASON15 for a discount. About 5-ish years ago, I really learned firsthand the value of collaborating with other professionals. I got to do all the animations and editing for a fun storybook style brand film, but they only gave me 4 days to do all the animating, editing, sound, and it was over the holidays. Despite the timeline, it turned out pretty good. And that's honestly because I didn't have to do any of the drawing. We hired a professional illustrator to do it all. I just had to take his files and then make them move, sort of like cutout style. And I think a lot of video creators and animators forget that, especially if you're starting your own business. You don't have to do it all yourself. In fact, you can charge even more money if you hire a professional to help increase the quality of your service, especially if your design skills, like in my case, aren't at the level that you want to be charging. For example, in this video, I think we charged the client around $20,000. And obviously that gets split a few different ways between contractors, but in the end, as a beginner animator, I was able to pocket around $5,000. And I would never have even had the opportunity to begin with if we hadn't have hired a pro to do all the illustrations, because frankly, the design and illustrations is what's carrying the weight here in this video. And motion designers and animators often forget that. And that's why I'm super excited about Penji. They're like having your own in-house creative team without the hiring hassle and the overhead cost. I think you get it. So to get them started on our project, I just want to supply my Penji designer with a few references and a clear brief of what I want them to design. You can provide as little detail as you want, but I think the more specific you can be with your pre-production planning, the better things will probably turn out. I really want to push the creative limits of these designers, so I'm going to challenge them to, in their own style, redraw the Nickelodeon logo so that we can animate it together as a sort of studio ident. Okay, now let's submit to Penji and get assigned a designer. It's all really effortless. I just need to make sure I include all the specs I may want. We're gonna come up to create, new design project, so many options to choose from that help you get started. Social media posts and banners, YouTube thumbnails, and illustrations. I'm gonna go with custom illustrations. Name my project, logo, animation. And then here, tell us about your project. This is where I'm gonna write as many details that I can about what I want and the deliverables that I need. Need it to be a PSD so I can import those Photoshop files into Procreate, or you can look to the designer to help you figure that out if you're unsure. And then lastly, creative input, because I needed them to follow a template so that all of the logos are the same, but I still wanted them to bring their own style to the table. I went with mix with creativity. Here's my brief. I wrote an overview, what I need them to do, the deliverables, and then inserted images of the style that I wanted. They assigned an art director and a few different designers to help with this project, and the designers have been so awesome. Every time they make progress on their style of the illustration, they give me a little update. We've got one designer working on a back-to-school version of the logo, a space version of the logo, flowers, monsters, fast food, a dessert version, a pixelated version of the logo. So once I animate all this together, it's gonna look really good. Now that we have our files back, let's import them into Procreate first. We're gonna just double check that all the layers are right and reorganize anything that I want to be grouped together so that I can then move those groups. And then next, we'll drag things into Procreate Dreams. And we'll organize the background elements, foreground elements, any moving parts, get things situated right. And then here is where I'm going to keyframe the motion. It's kind of like paper cutout puppets. We're gluing certain pieces together, but some pieces we know we want to make them move. So got to keep them separate and then keyframe those separately. I mentioned earlier that the illustration and the design often carries a lot of the weight and does a lot of the heavy lifting for animations and motion design. But on top of that, the sound design emphasizes that even further. Now let's watch it back. Now that looks great, and I couldn't have done it without my designers from Penji, Julio, Jose, Michelle, Alejandra, Santiago, Eric. It was a super seamless process to collaborate with them. If you want to give Penji a try, click the link below. It's an affiliate link, and they sponsored today's video, so either way, you're supporting the channel, and I hope you found this helpful. All right, that is it. Let's keep making cool videos, and stay tuned for the next one.